Right on. Now we're back with part 2 of the holiday art series, Christmas art. 'Tis the season. Everybody's sending out Christmas cards. But where'd they come from? Stay tuned. So we have to look way back in time, back in the 1800s. So back in the 1800s, before we had the Christmas card, what they would do is they would send out a yearly, like end of year holiday letter. And the holiday letter was good, but it was a little lengthy. It used to take a while to write each letter to each and everybody that you knew. And if you were popular, just think about how many letters you'd have to write. Which brings us to the direct person that started this. The original influencer, Henry Cole. He ran with all the popular kids, so some say he had about 1,000 friends. At the end of every year, this would stress Mr. Cole out because he didn't want to write all those letters. He had to come up with an idea, a solution. Now, Henry Cole was a popular guy, and he was very popular around 1840s, in the 1840s. Yeah! So, what he did was he came up with a great idea that he was gonna get some, he was gonna create the postcard is what he was gonna do. And Mr. Cole commissioned Mr. Horsley to do the illustration on the front of the card. And then he took the illustration to the printing press. I mean, this was a process back then. He took it to the printing press and he ordered 1,000 copies. On the flip side of the illustration, I think we all know what a postcard looks like, but if you don't, on the flip side of the illustration, it was just kind of like a template. So he invented this template, which saved him a ton of time. He had a piece of cardboard that he brought to an illustrator, and this is where the art comes in. The artist's name was J.C. Horsley. So now let's talk about the illustration part of this, you know, the art part. All right, so now Mr. Cole has this picture. He thinks it's the sickest thing that he's ever seen in his life. He goes to the printing press. He puts it on the card. He puts the messages, pre-printed messages on the back of the card and starts sending them out, and they start to get popular. The artist Horsley created an illustration of a family that was eating around a table. And then on the right and left side, there was some people like helping unfortunate people. They start having little competitions to see yearly who can be the best or has the best illustration. And people even started collecting them. So that was like the mid 1800s and on. And since he was sending out thousands every year, according to him, you know, a couple of things happened. It caught on. And then it made its way over to America, the United States. The United States liked the idea and it was great. But some people felt that there wasn't enough room for the message. So, an early 1900s American woman by the name of Joyce Hall and her two brothers, Raleigh and Willie, decided to improve on the design of this postcard. So they made it longer, you know, so now it's longer and you can fold it in half, which allows a lot more room for you to write. And just that idea has transformed into what we know as Hallmark today. Here's a couple Hallmark facts. Number 1, Hallmark makes over $5 billion every year.
Excellent.
That's just wild to me. $5 billion every year on Christmas cards and other holiday cards. Crazy. They've even reported revenue going up to as far as 19.5 billion some Valentines.
Shut up and take my money.
So now the cards are getting more and more popular. And Hallmark has the idea, you know, they gotta stay relevant. So here comes some more innovation. They brought on some other artists like Salvador Dali, Norman Rockwell, to create some of the most iconic Christmas cards that we have. Now, I bet you think those guys have sold the most cards, probably just because they're the most popular. Well, you're wrong.
You lose! Good day, sir!
The most popular holiday card was designed by First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy back in 1963. It was some cherubs. I'll show an example right now. This image has sold over more than 34 million copies. That's 34 times platinum if you're talking records. Oh, I forgot, I did find a controversy.
A dark side of Christmas cards.
Doesn't even have to do with money. The controversy happened literally on the very first print of those Christmas cards, that illustration that I showed you. Some people got mad because the illustration shows, I don't know if you noticed, but the illustration shows some kids drinking possibly wine. We don't know. And that, you know, caused a ruckus in the community. Having kids drink back then, I guess, wasn't a thing, even though sometimes we think it was. But so that's what they did to try to cancel that image. Karens back then. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Thanks for tuning in. I got one more part to this whole thing, so stay tuned and check it out. Peace.